The University of Georgia is committed to Athens, Clarke County.
Athens, Clarke County already have a homeless crisis, and if me and my 3 girls don't come up with the $1,700, we will be homeless.
We are investing in our community locally.
Again, there is currently a shortage of affordable housing in Athens, Clarke County.
The University of Georgia invests in the Athens community in a variety of ways. 3 specific areas of focus include youth development, health and well-being, and economic development.
It depends on how you want to look at it. There's always going to be, a program.
The Georgia Possible program has impacted me and fellow students here at Clarke Central.
Maybe donations.
The University of Georgia Small Business Development Center invested in me so that I could invest in my community.
We can partner with university classes, for example. I've worked with the School of Social Work.
Coming out here to our community sites to really help and make a difference where we can.
So it's like the same, you'll see a lot of things that, no, they're not taking anything to actually address the systemic causes of these issues, because it would cost much more, like large-scale investments. No, they just keep renaming buildings. As a community organizer, I always like to joke about the fact that I'm like, I guess I'm the only one that has access to Google. I don't know. I don't know. Housing versus affordable housing, of course, is the name of the game. So there is housing available. The problem is just that the rents are unaffordable to the majority of people in the community. There's property investors that are looking at Athens and like drooling at the mouth. You've got the retirement community, you've got Airbnbs with game season. And so for anyone interested in maximizing profits, it's going to be an attractive area to purchase real estate for investment.
I'm a junior and I've gone here for all 3 years so far. Freshman year I lived in the dorms, and then sophomore year and this year I lived off campus. I would probably say it's very chaotic trying to find just somewhere to live that's remotely close to campus and that's affordable.
What we're seeing is native Athenians and people that have lived here, worked here, built the culture of the community here that has made it what it is today. They are being priced out because of the rising housing costs.
Things are really starting to get expensive because the prices go up by a lot every month.
Then you see things like property management companies having these completely unreasonable expectations with the reality of Athens. So we have almost 38% poverty in Athens. Say you're looking at $1,200, $1,300, and that's being generous. Really at this point we're getting closer to 15, 16, 17, and 18 as being like the average sort of rent. These sorts of expectations, it's like we know that they can't be for Athenians because it doesn't make sense for the economic standing in Athens. Like people, who is making that amount of money aside from the limited amount of university administrators, faculty, tenured professors, things like that. But even still, most people at UGA even, they're not making anywhere close to even be able to be let in the door for some of these places.
Overall, I haven't been able to find somewhere where I'm paying around $800 for something that I like.
With, the maximizing profit motive, a lot of the time these property management companies, they're going to be, their job is to sell a dream to the investor, right, of how they can attract and retain these ideal tenants that are going to be great for profit margins and have minimal cost to the investor. At least in our specific case, it's going to be students because they're temporary. You want people that can bring in the most money. You're not worried about late rents, especially, if you've got a student whose parent is paying their rent. It's like it's probably on auto pay. Like you're not of any concern about collecting the rent. But also by having that temporary tenant, they're protecting themselves from ever really having to face any real concrete demands. I don't think I know many students that have ever been like, my landlord is not maintaining this property. I'm going to file an official claim with the local government through code enforcement to, make sure that they do this.
Last year I had some issues with my realtor and just when we moved in, and it wasn't too severe where we had to have legal matters put in, but you could leave, but finding a place, that would be close to like impossible. You'd have to bum off with some friends, like it's gonna be really hard to try to find somewhere else, so I would probably just stick it out.
Even sometimes you'll see on the listing itself, like looking for a graduate student, professional, something rather, like all code for no regular people, please. Like do not come in here with just a family thinking that we're going to rent to you. A lot of people say often that Athens is UGA, basically, and everyone else is just kind of, here for as long as they can be. We can look in other communities and see where universities or sometimes hospitals and other large churches, like those sort of institutions that are property tax exempt, will opt into a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, to where they voluntarily make routine payments, so it might be monthly, quarterly, to the local government in order to, acknowledge the fact that obviously y'all need this money and obviously we have the money, and so, we want to make that investment back. That is something that the University of Georgia absolutely could be doing, just like other universities throughout the country do with their local governments as well. They're not. I've never heard anyone talk about it. So it's just, it continues to confuse me, other than, if we just read that as what it is, that they have no intention. They do not want to see the conditions change for local Athenians, and so they continue, to perpetuate this harm on the community. When we were asking for a center on slavery to be established, that people could go to, like a museum, and see, the real deal. What was UGA participating in, really learning about the history. They said it was outside of the scope of resources. I will never forget that quote until the day I die, because there is nothing outside of the scope of resources for the University of Georgia, but it was also the same year that they redid the Jumbotron. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was $63 million for that, but I digress. At a certain point, now I think it has been very clear, and even students, I hope we're beginning to see that it's like, this is a profit-driven motive only. They don't really care if you leave here with an education or not. They do not necessarily care if you even have a job prospect anywhere in sight, because your tuition has already been paid at that point.
I do think that they care in some ways. They provide some services, so they're making that, outreach to kind of care, but maybe following through with it is not something UGA doesn't really do very well.
And as we see, there has been no disruption of the spread of the university, the attraction of more and more students, and that is not being met with a reciprocal investment in expanding university resources.
I mean, even the therapy sessions and tutoring and stuff, they charge you.
Honestly, the best way to figure it out is ask anyone that had a mental health crisis at the University of Georgia what resources they were able to access as a student.
Like, yes, it's helping you, they care, but they're still going to charge you at the end of the day, so it's all about money.
It's just like, it's so obvious. We could see that if they don't care about the students, I'm definitely not holding out much hope for them to extend that to the community.
They make a ton of money, we all know that, and at the end of the day, they're going to do everything in their power to keep making money. To say, oh, does UGA care about you? I mean, you could say yes, but do they really care about you or your money?
There's an affordable housing crisis that's happening in Athens, Clarke County.
The largest applicant pool in UGA history sought admission to the first-year class.
We see what happened with over 300 UGA students after their money was taken, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe now they'll listen because look at the students.
While our fall enrollment reached an all-time high, eclipsing 40,000 students.
It happened to the students and it hit the news and they're like, oh, we got a problem. No, we've been had a problem.